back, everybody. So this is a bit of a delayed video from the last one, which was a few months ago about the bubble algae. I did do a second run on a triple dosage of fluconazole. It did kill about 90% of the bubble algae. So there was bubble algae left, and since then it's slowly been building itself back up. So at this point, I'm basically just on bubble algae management, not elimination. So the tank is okay. It's really not affecting any of the coral. It's not in like played proportions or anything. It's not overrunning anything. So I'm just gonna kind of live with it and just manage it, seeing that the coral are doing so good. Everything's growing really great. I don't want to mess with my parameters. I don't really want to dose anything else anymore. The tank went through a bit of torture with a lot of that medication dosing. So I'm just going to give it a break, just focus on growing some coral now. I do have two rabbitfish, a fox face and another rabbitfish, and so far they're not picking on any corals. I have seen them nibble a little bit on some bubble algae, so I'm just going to let them do their thing. Hopefully they'll get to it and manage it a little bit better. But I do like them, so they'll be staying in the tank as long as they don't break any laws and try to eat any coral. So far so good. So yeah, one thing that did happen with the triple dose fluconazole, it started to kill off my chaeto, and I did not notice it. A lot of it started to melt off. I took as much of it as I could out. Typically when I do the fluconazole to get rid of hair algae, which I've done in the past maybe 2 or 3 times, it's never killed the chaeto, but I guess since I triple dosed it at that amount, it was enough to kill any algae. So it killed bubble algae, it killed the chaeto. There was definitely no hair algae. So that stuff works for killing algae. Just follow the dosage, know what you want to do with it. There is a risk involved, like anything you do in the reef tank. Just know how to manage it, and so I would say do it at your own risk. But other than that, everything's been doing good. I did get an ICP test after that fluconazole dosage. I started noticing things going wrong, and I thought it was due to the fluconazole, but I ended up getting an ICP test and found that I had a bad magnesium kit, so my magnesium was shooting up to probably around 1700 parts per million magnesium, which I've had before. Doesn't really necessarily, I've ever seen that kill coral. It's really not good. It gets things off balance, it does. So it's not a good thing, but it's really not severe. There was a problem in the ICP test showing iodine levels. I usually dose C-chem iodide in the tank. I usually put a cap full of that in the auto top off water, and it's done good for the few years, kept the levels where they should be. I didn't notice that it was creeping up. I've done several ICP tests and I never really paid attention, but looking back at it, it was creeping up higher and higher. It was ICPanalysis.com was showing that if you hit 0.1 parts per million iodine in the tank, it's pretty dangerous for your coral. As far as that was telling me, the recommendation was do water changes before coral starts dying. I was at 0.4, so high magnesium, that, and high iodine was having issues. I ended up starting to get some STN and RTN and some of the acros. Sadly, I lost a couple of those, and what really got me sad was I lost a 24 karat gold torch, and I lost, I don't know if you called it looked like a Rasta torch. I usually knew it as a neon green torch because I bought it a few years ago, and that's what it was called then. So I don't know what they call it today, but it was the one sitting right here in the middle. One day it just melted off its heads. Luckily I did not lose the Hellfire torch or my blue tip to green torch up there. That would have been really bad. It sucks I lost those corals, but luckily the ICP test showed me exactly what was wrong, and I changed course and fixed all of that until here we are today. That was about a month ago, month and a half to a month and a half ago. Yeah, sorry, I'm repeating myself a lot, but trying to go back on the history of what happened from the last video, which was a good bit of stuff. But since the ICP test and correcting the course of the tank, everything's doing it's doing really good, really great. I've got a lot of growth in just a month and a half since correcting that and getting the magnesium situated, lowering the iodine in the tank. Everything bounced right back. The STN stopped basically. Did cut pieces that had some STN on it, but after the tank parameters were fixed, none of the STN progressed anywhere. Do have a lot of fish in here. I got extra fish in the tank just to keep the nutrients up. The tank was guzzling some phosphate. I don't know where it was going, but it was taking it down. So right now I'm just leaving everything. My parameters are, right now it's about 8.8 DKH is what I've been testing the past few days. 410 on the calcium, and just now took a long while for the magnesium to come down, but now it's sitting at 1350. I want to bring that down to at least 1300, as I tend to notice I think the torches do a little better in the lower magnesium. But yeah, that's where that is. The nitrates still at 5 parts per million, and I like to keep the phosphate anywhere between 0.04 and 0.08 on that. And take a closer look. Did lose a lot of there was some pieces of acro up here. Let me try to zoom in here. This one has been cut up. Let me try to zoom in here. Had to cut this one up quite a bit. A lot of them did survive. They didn't get phased. It was getting close. I did have some STN that was on the green slimer for a little bit, but luckily it just went away when I corrected. I had another acro sitting there, and now it's replaced with a pink lemonade that I'm just kind of using as a test piece. But you can see everything else, the white tips on the stylo, white tips on the green slimer. All the SPS are growing like crazy right now that I have everything basically back in balance. Moved a couple torches around. That torch was over here, and sadly that one was gone. It was one that had some of the longest tentacles, and it was awesome, but sadly it's gone. It happens. I'm just happy I didn't lose more coral, so pretty much stopped that in its tracks, the issue. And if it wasn't for an ICP test, I would have never have known. So I'm gonna do an update. I got connected a clear water scrubber. So the algae scrubber, I'm hoping to grow more hair algae, you know. So rather than the chaeto, I'm gonna take the chaeto offline and experiment with let me get this focus back. Gonna experiment with growing hair algae rather than chaeto, because I feel that I need to get ammonia out of the tank. So I know one thing that's good about hair algae is it will take out a lot of ammonia far more efficient, better than chaeto. So I'm gonna do an experiment with that, see how that goes, and hopefully get better growth, see if I notice anything different. Maybe hopefully sand bed gets a little wider and clears up. I really don't ever touch the sand bed, but trying to see what it can do, see if it has any better benefits other than just running chaeto. So that's going to be a good experiment to see in the future there, and I'll give an update on that hopefully in the next video, because it's just now starting to get some color on the that sheet in the algae scrubber itself. So yeah, that is it for this one. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.